the sleep test. I have to say, in all the years we've been looking at software, I don't think I've ever heard a metric quite that visceral.
It's evocative, isn't it? It just cuts right through all the technical jargon.
It really does. It's the one thing from today's research I just can't shake.
Mhm.
I mean, the idea is so simple. Can you sleep soundly at night knowing your software has full admin access to your entire digital life?
And if that answer is anything but an immediate yes, the software fails.
It fails. And the scary thing is right now, pretty much every personal AI assistant out there fails that test.
Yeah.
Hard.
That's the reality check we're starting with today. We all want the dream, the Jarvis from Iron Man, a system that actually does stuff for us.
Right. It checks your calendar, reads your WhatsApp, manages your server.
Maybe even writes a bit of code while you're asleep.
Right.
But the moment you give an agent that kind of power, you're handing over the keys to the kingdom, your entire digital kingdom.
Exactly. Which brings us to today's deep dive. We're looking at a project called NanoClaw. And it's making waves not just for what it does, but really for what it isn't.
Yeah, it's not some massive sprawling framework. It's not a product you buy. It's more of a philosophy for building what the creator calls AI native software.
A fascinating pivot. We're looking at this lightweight, secure alternative to the heavy hitters. It runs directly on Anthropic's Agents SDK, but it's designed with this radical constraint.
It has to be small enough that you can read and understand the entire source code in about 8 minutes.
8 minutes to understand the thing controlling your life. That's the claim. So today, we're going to figure out if that simplicity actually solves the security nightmare or if it just, limits what the AI can actually do.
We've got the documentation, the repo stats, the creator's manifesto. It's a pretty dense stack of notes.
It is. Let's get into it. So to really get why NanoClaw even exists, I think we have to talk about the elephant in the room.
OpenClaw.
OpenClaw. It used to be called Clawdbot. It's the big popular open source option. But the NanoClaw creator just tears it apart in the notes. Why? What's the issue?
Well, it's less hostility and more, I'd say, an architectural critique. It really comes down to bloat and how that bloat creates security opacity.
Meaning you can't see what's going on.
You can't. I mean, we pulled the stats. OpenClaw is massive. It's made up of, 52 separate modules?
So they do too.
Yeah. It has 8 different configuration files, over 45 dependencies, abstraction layers for 15 different platforms.
That sounds less like a script you run on your laptop and more like, I don't know, an enterprise operating system.
And that is exactly the danger. Because in security, complexity is the enemy.
Yeah.
The more code, the more places for bugs to hide. The big critique here is that OpenClaw runs in a single Node.js process.
With shared memory.
With shared memory.
Okay, break that down for someone who isn't a systems architect. Why is shared memory a bad thing for an AI assistant?
Okay, think of it like a big open plan office. If the AI is working on one task, say, summarizing an article, and it gets confused, or it hallucinates, or maybe it gets tripped by a malicious link.
Right.
In that shared memory environment, it can access everything else in that office. It can just reach over to the next desk and start shredding the accounting files. It can see the file system, the network, anything the main process can.
So security is basically the AI promising it won't do anything bad.
Essentially, yeah. It's what's called application-level security. The code itself tries to police the agent with things like allow lists or pairing codes. But if there's a single bug in one of those 52 modules...
Or a prompt injection.
That logic just fails.
And there goes the sleep test. Yeah. You're just hoping everything works perfectly to stop the AI from wiping your drive.
Exactly. The NanoClaw creator argues that hope isn't a strategy. They wanted to build something where safety is guaranteed by the architecture itself.
Which brings us to NanoClaw. The whole pitch is transparency. Same functionality, code base you can get in 8 minutes. How do they do that without just cutting all the features?
They strip away the framework. NanoClaw isn't trying to be a platform for everyone. It's a harness. And it does it using a concept that's core to modern development. Containerization.
This is their big security model, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of that open plan office, they put the AI in a solitary confinement cell.
A very productive cell, but yeah, that's the idea. The agents don't run on your main operating system directly. They run inside isolated Linux containers.
So on a Mac, that would...
On Mac OS, it uses Apple containers, which are super lightweight and optimized for Apple Silicon. On Linux, it just defaults to Docker.
Okay, but the documentation makes this really bold claim. It says, quote, bash access is safe. Now, normally, giving an AI bash access, that's the scariest thing you can do.
It is. It's giving it the keys to the castle.
So how can they possibly say it's safe?
Because the castle is a hologram. When the AI runs a command, it's happening inside that disposable container. It has no idea your actual computer even exists outside that box.
So if the AI hallucinates and runs rm-rf- the delete everything command, what happens?
It deletes the file system inside the container, the process dies, the container gets thrown away, and your actual hard drive is completely untouched. The AI just, committed suicide in a simulation.
Not murder in reality.
Exactly.
That is a massive distinction. You're shifting security from trusting the code to trusting the physics of the OS.
It also completely changes how you handle data. The agents can only see files that you explicitly give them access to by mounting them to the container. They're blind to everything else.
Okay, so we've got a secure brain in a box. But how do I talk to it? I'm not using a terminal window for this, am I?
No, surprisingly, the interface is completely consumer grade. You talk to it through WhatsApp.
WhatsApp? Like the app on my phone?
The very same. It uses a library called Bailey's to bridge that gap.
Oh,
and the
wow.
architecture is this really clean loop. You send a message on WhatsApp
Hi.
that gets stored in a simple SQLite database. A polling loop sees the new message, wakes up the container running the Anthropic agent, it does its thing, and then sends the response right back to WhatsApp.
It seems almost too simple.
And that's the whole point. By using the Anthropic agent's SDK, you're running Claude code directly. The creator has this philosophy. Best harness, best model.
The harness matters.
The harness matters. They argue a bad harness, like a bloated framework, makes a smart model act dumb. But a good harness one that's invisible and low latency lets the model show its full power.
I like that. The software around the AI should be a conduit, not a filter.
Precisely. And that philosophy goes all the way to how you configure the thing. This was the part of the docs that just stopped me. There are no settings menus. There isn't even a config.json file you can edit.
Wait, hold on. So how? How do I change the settings? If I want to change the trigger word or the system prompt, how do you do that?
In NanoClaw, you don't edit files. You tell the AI to do it.
I text it.
You text it. It claims to be AI native, meaning the software is designed to be modified by the AI running inside it. You just say, change the trigger word to @Bob, or update your system prompt to be more sarcastic.
And it rewrites its own code.
It modifies its own variables, its own logic. You're not configuring a static system. You're collaborating with a living system to evolve it.
That sounds incredible, but also kind of messy. I mean, from a developer standpoint, what about version control? If I tell my AI to change its code, and you tell yours to change its code, we're now running two completely different applications.
And you've just hit on the most controversial part of this whole project. It forces a total rethink of what software distribution even means. The creator has a rule for anyone contributing.
Yeah.
Don't add features, add skills.
Okay, unpack that for me. What's the difference between a feature and a skill here?
So think about traditional open source. In a project like OpenClaw, if I want Telegram support, I write the code and submit a pull request. If it gets accepted, everyone who downloads the bot now has that Telegram code, even if they never use it.
Right, which causes bloat. That's how you get to 52 modules.
Exactly. NanoClaw rejects that. The core stays tiny, so if you want Telegram support, you don't add it to the main project. You create a skill file. It's just a markdown file with text instructions in a .claude skills folder.
It's like a recipe card for the AI.
It is. You run a command like add Telegram, Claude Code reads that skill file, understands what you want, and then it transforms your specific fork of the software to include that feature.
So it basically writes a custom plugin for me on the fly.
It's more than a plugin. It rewrites the application logic. It creates a bespoke version of the software for just one user. If you need Telegram, your code has it. If I don't, my code stays clean.
That is a complete inversion of the App Store model. Usually we build this giant Swiss Army knife for everyone. This is like carrying a block of steel that only forms into a knife when you need to cut something.
That's a great analogy. It respects your specific needs without burdening the whole system. You're not a consumer anymore. You're a cultivator. You're growing your own software.
Okay, so the philosophy is fascinating. But let's get practical. If I install this today, what can I actually do with it? Is it just a fancy chatbot on WhatsApp?
It's much more than a chatbot because of two key features: scheduled tasks and agent swarms.
Let's do scheduled tasks first. That's where this stuff usually shines.
The examples in the source material are really telling. They aren't just remind me to buy milk, they're intellectual labor. Like you can tell it, @Andy, review the Git history for the past week every Friday and update the re-atom if the docs are out of sync.
Wow. That's a task that would take a human developer an hour of really boring work.
Right. Or, here's another one. At Andy, every Monday at 8 a.m., crawl Hacker News, find all news on AI regulation, and message me a summary.
It's a personal research analyst. And because of that loop we talked about, it can trigger itself.
Exactly. It wakes up, spins up the container, does the work securely, sends you the report, and then shuts down.
Okay, now agent swarms. That sounds like sci-fi jargon. But the docs claim this is the first AI assistant to support them. What does that actually mean?
It means you're not limited to just one AI persona. You can spin up a team. In a single chat thread, you could have one agent acting as a researcher, another as a critic, and a third as a writer.
Like a virtual staff meeting in my phone.
Yes. You pose a complex problem. The researcher goes out to the web and gathers data. The critic analyzes that data for bias. The writer synthesizes it all into a final answer. They all collaborate right there in the chat.
Does this tie back into the containerization? Are they all just in one big soup?
No. And this is where the security model gets even more impressive. They call it isolated group context. NanoClaw treats different WhatsApp groups as completely separate universes.
So my work swarm and my family swarm are totally firewalled from each other.
Completely.
Yeah.
Each group has its own memory file and runs in a separate container instance. Your work agent literally cannot see the file system or the chat history of your family agent.
Which is crucial. I don't want my work researcher seeing my grocery list.
And you definitely don't want your family chatbot trying to debug production code. It prevents context bleeding. It's a really rigorous approach to privacy, even inside your own system.
This project seems to be hitting a nerve. The GitHub stats are kind of jumping off the page. 7,300 stars, over 900 forks. And for a tool that's meant to be forked, that high fork number is actually a really good sign, isn't it?
It's a great sign. Usually you want everyone contributing to the central repo, but here a high fork count means people are doing exactly what the creator wanted, taking that base clay and molding it into their own personal tool.
And it's MIT licensed, so it's truly open for anyone to use.
Yeah. The creator's stance is so refreshing. They say, this isn't a framework, it's working software that fits my exact needs. They basically encourage you to go break it.
Speaking of building, what's the community asking for? Since we're not adding features to the core, what skills are in high demand?
The request for skills list gives us a pretty good roadmap. The biggest demand by far is for more communication channels. People want skills to add Telegram, Slack, and Discord.
That makes sense. Not everyone lives in WhatsApp.
There's also a big push for Windows support. Right now, it's very Mac OS and Linux focused, so there's a demand for a setup Windows skill that can handle container setup using WSL2.
That seems like a heavier lift than just adding a chat app.
It is, but again, because it's a skill, if the Windows implementation is messy, it doesn't pollute the clean code for Mac users.
So one other request that looked interesting, session management, a clear command. Why is that a big deal? Can't you just delete the chat?
It's not about the chat, it's about the AI's context window. LLMs have a memory limit, and tokens get expensive. Users want a command that compacts the conversation, summarizing the important stuff into the long-term memory file and clearing out the immediate buffer.
Like defragging your brain. You keep the important memories, but free up the working RAM.
Exactly. It's a pretty nuanced thing to programmatically trigger without losing the thread of the conversation.
You know, taking a step back, as we look at this whole NanoClaw project, it really feels like a fork in the road for how we interact with computers.
How do you mean?
Well, for the past, 15 years, the model has been the App Store. Polished, locked down, one-size-fits-all apps. You don't know how they work, you can't see the code, and you certainly can't change it. NanoClaw is the polar opposite of that.
It's the co-coding model.
Right. The future isn't about buying the perfect app. It's about having a generic engine, the LLM, and then talking it into becoming the app you need.
It really shifts the skill set. You don't need to know C++ anymore. You need to know how to express intent clearly. The friction between having an idea and running the software for it is just disappearing.
But there's a risk there too, isn't there?
Yeah.
If my NanoClaw evolves differently from yours, and everyone has a bespoke OS, do we lose compatibility? Do we lose the ability to share?
That's the tension. We might be moving toward a future where we each have a central personal OS that grows this unique software ecosystem that no one else quite understands. Your computer becomes deeply idiosyncratically yours.
A digital fingerprint that's functional, not just biometric.
And for anyone who cares about privacy, that might be the ultimate goal. Software that is so specific to you that it can't be mass surveilled because it doesn't look like anyone else's software.
It's a compelling vision. If you're listening, and you have that sleep test anxiety, or you just want to see what this AI native code looks like, you should definitely check out the repo. It's qwibitai.
Even if you don't install it, just read the skills.md file in there. It's a masterclass in how to think about modularizing AI capabilities.
And remember, if you do spin it up,
Yeah.
you're the captain. It's your ship, your container, and your rules.
And your responsibility.
That's the deep dive. Stay curious, and we'll see you next time.